So that's going to be loud, the air conditioning, but if not, if I turn it off, then it's just going to get unbearably hot in here, and I don't want that to happen. So you're going to have to deal with that, and I'm going to have to talk a little louder. So let's get started. I was going to talk, in fact I have talked about my favorite trilogies, but I hated that video, so I am scrapping that, and instead I'm going to talk about why the third in a trilogy is considered the worst or subpar. And, you know, this is just my weird opinion. It's not even really, this is what I think, it's more just me throwing out ideas. The idea I had to begin with was what I like to call the epilogue theory, where people just don't like definitive endings. We see this with people who don't like Harry Potter's epilogue, and they don't really give reasons for it. They just kind of don't like the way it ends because they don't like that it ends. That's also not to say that people don't have good reasons for not liking the epilogue. There are probably good reasons, though I have not heard them. Another reason might be that endings are just hard to do. I find this as a writer all the time. It's hard to wrap everything up, especially with a series that's been going for so long. It would be hard to find an ending that would satisfy an audience when they have already been theorizing about the ending and coming up with their own endings in their head, even if they're not super conscious about that. I think we've all had that experience where we've read or watched something and it's ended and we've been like, okay, but there were so many other things that you could do. And it's not even that what they choose to do is that bad. It's just that it's not what you thought. Then there's creative burnout. This is what most people would probably contribute it as. It's just after 3 stories, it's hard to get it right. Or you had a good idea for one story and then you forced yourself to have 2 others, and maybe the second one works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just you've run out of ideas for this story and for this world, so the trilogy kind of suffers at the end because of this. But the one I find most convincing is that people try something new. They take the story in a different direction. They try a twist. And it either doesn't really connect with audiences or it doesn't match up with the rest of the story, or it's just a bad twist. And so it kind of hurts the trilogy as a whole. I'm thinking especially if you have time in between the parts of a trilogy and you kind of lose what the trilogy is about, or at least what people connect the trilogy to be about. I think a lot of people have this with Last Crusade. Even though I love Last Crusade, I think it's brilliant. A lot of people have trouble with the comedy, that took a much more lighter tone. You can also see this in Back to the Future 3. It's a Western. It's not, you know, 1 is primarily a period piece in the 50s, 2 plays around with different time periods, with the 50s being a part of that, so we have something familiar, but then just throws you in the Wild West, which is kind of weird. When I was watching it with my friend Joe, he had no idea there was a 3rd movie, and then when the credits came on, the trailer before the credits came on 2, he was just like completely shocked that it was a Western, because it's a really weird way to go. So there are a lot of reasons why trilogies could be bad. I didn't really come up with one definitive reason because I don't think there is one definitive reason. I think each story is its own unique thing. It might parallel this or parallel that, but its whole production is a unique set of circumstances unto itself. Each film is a fingerprint, and on a macro scale, each series is a fingerprint. So different problems would pervade, and there are probably patterns to it, but I think there are a lot of reasons why the third in a trilogy always falls a little flat for people. I shouldn't say always, because it doesn't always. Sometimes it's the best, but there definitely is that pattern there. So if you have any ideas, comment below and tell me, and tomorrow I'll be back to other videos that have nothing to do with trilogies. So, goodbye.